Throughout Joe Biden's whole presidency, we have known he was not cognitively there. And we had been saying time and time again that Obama he's serving his third term. There's been a thing that's been said a lot in the conservative circles on our side. And it's so funny because Lindy Li, who was a Democratic commentator, who was an activist for the Democrat Party, comes out and says, not only was that what happened, but there's a lot more that goes into it as well. It's absolutely crazy. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to Resist the Mainstream because it ensures YouTube that you're enjoying our videos. And in turn, they will continually show up in your feed and then they'll push it out to more people. I'm Titus. Let's get into this video.
So let's move into who was running the presidency for the last 4 years. A lot of people say it was Obama's third term. There's rumors of, and these are friends of mine that are moderate Democrats say that they thought it was Elizabeth Warren running it. They thought it was Bernie Sanders running it. But I think the general consensus, I think if you asked, the majority of the population, they think it was Obama's third term.
It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually fuck everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. But also, he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir. Most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice. But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
So who was running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually leased a book basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit but these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
So let's go.
That's actually crazy. Obama. Oh, man. Do you guys hear this? And this is obviously one person saying it. I guess we got to keep looking into it to confirm if it's true, but this is what we have been saying forever. We've been saying this since, honestly, Biden was never there. We've been saying this since year one. Biden was cognitively impaired. We knew in 2020 during the debates, he was just out here stumbling over his words. We remember the true no pressure. He wasn't there. So obviously he wasn't running the country. That's terrifying that you would put someone who's clearly not competent in the position, in the highest office in the land, having the nuclear codes and all this stuff. We all knew it was something weird, but not to have someone on their side come out and just say it, who was actually in charge. And Obama was in charge of that third term. Not only was he in charge of that third term, he was fighting tooth and nail. We all know he was doing that on Kamala's campaign, where he was just lying to and fro, going all around, just saying blatant lies, regurgitating that same good people on both sides lie that has been debunked time and time again. It's all because they wanted to stay in power. A fourth term, allegedly. It's crazy. And she's given the receipts. She's given all the names. It's actually mind-blowing that this is something that could have happened in our own country, all because certain people want to stay in power. Absolutely insane. But let's get back into this.
Would argue that.
Okay.
And so when we say, was this Obama's third term, how was he connected with these people?
Oh, Shadow O'Malley Dillon is an Obama vet. She became the deputy White House chief of staff, and she ended up running Kamala Harris's campaign because she gave Kamala an ultimatum saying, if the buck doesn't stop with me, I'm out of here. Because Kamala Harris has a history of putting her family in charge. People like Maya Harris, Mina Harris, and Tony West, the chief legal officer of Uber. When you put your family in charge, things, unless you're like Bobby Kennedy, like the original Kennedys, probably doesn't end well. And her 2019 campaign was a disaster. She was polling at 1%. She was a sitting U.S. senator. She didn't even make it to Iowa. That's how bad it was. And so Jen O'Malley Dillon was Obama loyalist. Her primary loyalty was to Obama, and she gave Kamala Harris that ultimatum. And then you had people like David Plouffe. So they helicoptered in Obama's people. They were running Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign like Obama's 2008 campaign. But the world has shifted since then.
And so would all these people congregate together and come up with the plan? I mean, the border, the Afghanistan withdrawal, the DEI, the LGBTQ.
Well, you got to keep in mind that a lot
movement.
of these people hated each other. So when Harris ascended to the top, she pushed Donnellan out. Okay. And Anita Dunn was never known to be, I'm trying to be euphemistic, it was never known to be a fan of Kamala Harris's. The Biden White House and the Harris office are two very distinct entities. They hated each other. Their staffers were constantly at war. And so these are two very distinct entities. And their interests often collided. Like right now, Vance and Trump, they're like, there's no daylight between the two of them. They're rolling in concert. That's not what happened at all. That wasn't the dynamic between Harris and Biden. From the get-go, things were rocky.
So where did the agenda come from then? Did it come from Obama through these people?
I think that's true. Also, it came from unelected, inexperienced, the 20, 30-year-olds that I was referencing earlier. People that none of us ever elected, people whose names you would never recognize, imposing their own vision of America onto everyone else. There was a huge LGBTQI, I'm losing track of the letters, LGBTQIA plus contingency in the White House, who sought to impose their own vision of wokeness onto the rest of us. And so you had the pride flags on the storied pillars of the White House.
Yeah. And man, this is crazy.
Like pride.
Yeah, it was crazy. What's also crazy is, one, you were put in the highest office in the land, fair and square, and you get into that position where you are like supposed to make life better for the American people, right? That's your job, and you're at odds with the person you chose because of the optics of choosing a black woman. You knew it'd be a good look, so then you guys don't get along. Your teams are going at each other. You're making our country's economy go down the drain. Gas prices are insanely expensive. Our border is not secure. All for power. We just need to be in power. We don't need to do a good job while we're here. We're going to be at odds and make all the American people suffer. And then what you prioritized over the economy, over border security, was bringing Dylan Mulvaney to the White House to talk about how to trans kids, the legacy of Biden and Obama, apparently. So, and also you have three people at war because you got Joe Biden's team, Kamala Harris's team, and Barack Obama's team. Absolutely a disgrace. A disgrace. Let's get back into this.
When all of them knew that he wasn't fit.
And so let's go back to, I'm trying to figure out how Obama was running the show, because you had pretty much said, yes, it was Obama's third term.
And he's the one who pushed Biden out too.
But we're also saying that all of the people that you just mentioned were not on the same page. It was very argumentative. They didn't like each other. And so if he was influencing all of them, it seems like they would have been on the same page.
I should also mention that these people are Obama people too. They worked for him. Like Anita Dunn was originally an Obama person. Jen O'Malley Dillon was an Obama person. So there's tremendous overlap too. But Obama was definitely, he continued to pull the strings up until the very end. He was the one who orchestrated the Clooney letter. Now, George Clooney is angry at Obama for getting him involved in politics because Clooney is getting a lot of pushback for everything.
Poor Clooney.
And so Obama is the reason why donors even gave. Like, let's be honest, Biden is no draw. I hosted Biden myself on May 1st at the Mayflower in DC. I had to beg people. Shawn, it got to the point where I was sending texts in like capital letters saying, please give emoji face. Like, please. Because my name was on the flyer. Like, I had to deliver, you know? It was hard, it was so hard to make this out because people, you can't lie to the American people. You know, on the whole, the wisdom of the crowds. The American people knew, you could see it, that this guy wasn't fit.
You can definitely lie to the American people, and they had lied to the American people. There are Biden loyalists, people that said Biden was the greatest president in the world, and he's not cognitively impaired. You guys are lying. He clearly was. You can lie. You can manipulate. There's just some people that can see through it, and we happen to be those people. But anyways.
It was like pulling teeth to get people to give. So finally, I was able to raise just $1 million, which is far lower than I usually do. But it's just.
So were these his agendas? Were these Obama's agendas that we saw roll out over the past 4 years? That's what I'm asking, because, you know, I am a realist and I just want to know the truth. And so, you know, like I had mentioned, like a lot of people think that it was Obama's third term, but then we have you saying that these people weren't getting along.
But that's
so
not mutually exclusive.
If it was orchestrated, then from him, then it seems like these people will be getting along. And do you see what I'm saying?
It's not mutually exclusive because they didn't get along because they were all vying for the most power, like amongst themselves. They were vying for ascendancy amongst themselves, but they were still executing his agenda. Like Obama is what continues to be more forceful figure than Biden is. And he was the draw at fundraising events. He was the reason why people were showing up. Biden is no draw. Okay? So yeah. I was a co-host for an event that George Clooney and Julia Roberts hosted in Hollywood in June. People came for Obama. And I don't know if the press ever mentioned this, but that night, Obama himself was shocked to see Biden's decline. You could tell. And he was like holding Biden by the hand and shepherding him off the stage because Biden didn't know to leave the stage after the event was over. And you could just tell people in the crowd, like, looking at each other saying, like, what's going on? But everyone was playing their part in an emperor has no clothes situation because in their mind, the alternative was so dire, and that is Trump. And have you seen The Wire? You know that phrase, you come at the king, you better not miss. Mm-hmm. If you can't push Biden aside and you fail that attempt, the only person who benefits is Trump. So that was their logic.
It's really ridiculous. You know, like, there's also so many shows and stuff where you see the people that were truly in power. And I a lot of times I think that the television that we see like mirrors what's actually happening in reality. Like the show Scandal, House of Cards, like Prison Break. Like you hear about like government corruption and the people in power that are actually pulling the strings and doing all these evil, corrupt things to stay in power. And it's like, where are you getting these ideas from? As if I feel like they parallel reality in a sense. Obviously, it's fiction. But there are people that are really just malicious individuals who want to enact their own agendas. And like they said, everyone fell in line for Obama. Obama was a draw. Obama on this, Obama that. Obama has like this same, he's like the Democrat Trump in terms of like drawing crowds and people love him on their side. And he can get, you know, he has a lot of influence. It's evil, absolutely evil. I cannot believe that we live in a country where this type of thing is allowed and that it is not shut down immediately by the people we put in office. It's very unfortunate. And I wanted to see more, but obviously, like America's sweethearts, the Obamas are allegedly getting a divorce soon. So it's things like that. A lot will be coming down soon. See if they expose each other because of the frustration. I don't know. That was very interesting. Lindy Li, man, you guys, we got to look more into this. I hope this story continues on. There's more things being revealed because that is very, very damning to the Obama's legacy if they were pulling these strings behind scenes. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment down your thoughts below. I want to know what you guys are thinking, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.